Welcome back to the Garden Hutch. Today we're going to review our new Vegega raised bed. Let's get going. I'm excited to get this started today. So what we're going to do is we are going to assemble a new raised bed, and then we're going to fill it and plant it. So it's a perfect time of year to do that with spring just starting. Let's get into it. So this raised bed is going to be the perfect size with it being 8 foot long. So it's going to just sit right here in this little spot here. One of the reasons that we preach raised beds here on the homestead a lot is because almost our entire yard is on a slope. So you can see where we've sort of made makeshift berms and beds and things, and that's always to slow down the flow of water down these hills and decrease the amount of runoff that we suffer. With this bed going here, it's going to be a huge boon for us here on the homestead. It's not only going to increase our growing space, which is a good thing, of course, but it is also going to help us prevent runoff. And I can't speak enough about how big of a deal that is when you live on a slope like we do. So next off, I would like to go ahead and just show the packaging. I was kind of impressed that, you know, what is it? I believe the model we're going to go with is the 8x2x17. We'll look at the instructions here in a minute, and there's several different ways you can construct it, but the bed arrived incredibly quickly. I was really impressed with their customer service. Like a lot of things this day and age, it came with a confirmation email letting me know when it was shipped with the tracking number. And I'm always impressed whenever I get an estimated date of delivery and it shows up early. It was 1 day earlier than anticipated. And it showed up in good condition, and the packaging is nice and compact, which is something I really enjoy. So after unpacking this, I have to admit I'm impressed. The ease with which this thing is designed to put together is phenomenal. Now, anybody who watches the channel knows that I just got through putting together a friggin' greenhouse that was incredibly difficult. The instructions were hard to manage. In fact, the greenhouse, we ended up throwing the instructions away and just figuring it out ourselves. This whole thing is going to be quite the opposite. I looked through the instructions. They're incredibly simple. Not only that, but the design, and I'll show you what I mean by this here. Here on the edges, you can see it's got this little 4-hole design, and then you just stick them in these other 4 holes. They come complete with these here, the bolts, washers, the nuts, that sort of stuff. And it also has the tools. So even if you don't have the tools, you would be able to put this together yourself. The whole idea that I had today was I wanted to do this by myself, so I had a pretty good idea of how difficult it was. And then if it was super difficult, I'd have Les out here to help me. But as of right now, it looks like this is not only something one person can do, but it looks like it's something that one person can do relatively easily. I also wanted to show this while I had it open. I was looking through the directions, and there are a number of different ways that you could put this together. We're going to go with the 2 foot by 8 foot, but one of the things that really caught my eye, and I may end up doing one day, is this one here with the little castle tiers on the end of it. Hey, friend the frog. While I was assembling the bed, I wanted to show this real fast. It might be an easy step to forget, but it does have this protective plastic coating on the outside of these panels to protect the paint. Just make sure that you remove these. I think it would be kind of inconvenient to sort of try to remove this once you got them put together. I wanted to put that in here. It comes off really easy. Way I did it was just kind of started at the top, and then you can remove it as one big piece. The first one I did, however, I tried to do it from like the corner and go diagonal, and it just broke off and was a disaster. So anyway, if you're doing one of these, just make sure just pull it across this way and pull it down the corrugation, and you should be fine. So we have completed the construction portion of the bed, and I have to say this may be one of the most simple things that I've ever put together. It's well made, it's sturdy, but the construction is, for lack of a better word, ingenious. All you have to do, again, you just put these little bolts in, and I went through and just hand tightened them to get everything in, got my supports and things in like that. And then I took the little wrench tool that comes along with it and just tightened everything in. Next thing we're gonna do is go ahead and start filling it. We'll do like we do most of our raised beds. We'll put cardboard on the bottom and we'll show all of that stuff as we go. So I wanted to pause here just a moment while I was filling it up. What I've done is I've just put some oak sticks on the bottom on top of the cardboard that we lined the bottom of the bed with, and then we watered it in really well. Now the next step is we have some leaf mold that we've been aging. It's only been about 6 months at this point, I believe, but I think it'll go really good in here. So we're going to use it for probably the bottom half. What'll end up happening is the leaf mold is going to compress around the sticks, and then on top of that we'll put a little bit of our chicken litter compost, and over time this bottom part will break down into a nice rich compost. But what'll end up happening is it saves us a little money at this point in filling it up, and then we only have to fill up the top third with a high quality container mix. Real fast, this is just with the chicken litter compost and the leaf mold. I turned it together pretty good and then I watered it. When I go to fill my raised beds, I treat it kind of like I do a compost pile. I like to water every layer and then mix it a bit. So with the leaf mold and the chicken litter compost, it's brought it about halfway. And now we are going to top it off with some of our raised bed mix. Hooray! The filling of the bed is complete. Now comes the fun part. So before we show the final product, I just wanted to go over a few things real fast. The first one being, is it worth your time and is it worth your money? From my perspective, yes. And I'll say that from a guy that has to have raised beds on his homestead. Again, we've tried in-ground beds, but because everything here is a slope, it's really difficult to deal with the weather we have here in Zone 7B. Since we've gone to raised beds, we haven't had any issues, and our growing seasons have definitely increased in the yield since we've gone from in bed to raised beds. Specifically to this bed, I went through and collected all the materials for the current raised beds on our homestead, and I got them all for free, but it took a lot of manpower, a lot of time, a lot of effort to get all of the materials for free. A lot of times it was odd hours because you had to work around other people's schedules, business hours, that sort of thing. So can you do the raised beds on the cheap? Absolutely. But whenever you factor in the time and effort involved in it, I think it's probably cheaper to just buy this one and have it delivered to your house. With this Vegega raised bed, you do not have to have a truck. You don't have to be able to lift a lot. I think the package was well under 50 pounds. So if you can lift 50 pounds, you can get it to where you need to go. I assembled it by myself in less than half an hour. So if manpower is an issue, it won't be for this. Now, when it comes to filling it and planting it, of course, it took significantly longer. But other than that, it was a really easy and quick experience. So overall, I would say yes. If you're in the market for a raised bed and you don't want to go through the hassle of trying to collect free materials or go through the carpentry part of it or moving a ton of dirt or any of that kind of stuff, then this Vegega raised bed is the way to go. Okay, let's take a look at what the planter looks like once it's finished. So you'll have to forgive the lighting. By the time we got all of this done yesterday, the sun had gone down, and I wanted to make sure that we could show it and do the bed justice. So what we've done is as we showed, we filled it and then we've planted it. On this end, we have onions. In the middle, we have mustard greens. We have more spring onions, turnip greens, and then additional spring onions on the end. And then we just sort of filled in the inside of it with straw. The reason we do that is we just don't want the wind and that sort of stuff from this time of year to come through and have any sort of erosion off the top of our soil. I do want to say this was an incredibly easy situation to go through. A lot of the stuff we already had here on the homestead, obviously the leaf mold, the sticks, the cardboard, all of that sort of stuff. The one thing I didn't mention when I was filling it is the raised bed soil that we're using in this. Now, it can be expensive. I went online to kind of check the price, and I believe it's about $16 a bag if you buy it at retail price. However, it cost us, I believe, $5 to do so. We used 5 bags in here. The reason we got it for such a good price was I bought that soil not really having a plan for it, but when I went to my local ranch store in October of 22, they had a huge pallet out front of different sorts of planting mediums that were all $1 a piece. So I picked up about 20 bags of it because that was all they had. And it just so happens that it worked out really well. Overall, I must say that I am very pleased with the way this bed looks. And if we step back a bit, you can see it fits perfectly in the area that we designated it for. Well, I hope you folks enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments below if you kind of like these review videos. Every once in a while, we have folks reach out to us, ask us to do a review. Now, I'm not interested in doing anything if they tell me what I have to say. That's just not something I want to do. But if they reach out and want us to review a product and you folks like it, let me know and we'll try to do more of those. As always, we appreciate everyone who stuck it out here till the end. Till next time, I hope you folks take care of yourselves. Peace.